Yeah, guys, I'm watching the game too. I'm watching the game. Oh no! 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 Game over. Two minutes and we will have the reefing report because now we're in a good mood. San Francisco 23, Dallas 17. See you in 2 minutes. Let's go, Niners. Woo! All right. Yeah, so much for those Cowboys.
Meanwhile, the winning team has a bye week, and we're resting
Oh,
and practicing and getting better.
okay, we'll see. We'll see about that. But right now, we're going to revel in the fact that Jerry Jones is up there screaming at somebody. That's all I know.
I mean, so if it's 49ers Titans, I mean, if that happens, we should go to I guess you should come here since we have like home field advantage, even though it's not gonna be done in Nashville, but we'll say home field advantage. If it's Titans 49ers, you can come here and we'll do the Reefing report here.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So, speaking of being somewhere, I'm actually in Vegas right now. Actually, I'm in Henderson, which is quasi Vegas. But I didn't see the game at a casino. I'm here in my RV. I'm actually out here at the Revere Country Club in Henderson, parked in their parking lot. So, if we don't get good enough internet to continue this on, either Mark will bail completely or Mark will carry on without me or what have you. We're going to do the best we possibly can, but I am in the middle of traveling right now. That's why you don't see a fish tank behind me. You do see some coral. Compliments of my wife who decided to put the pillow behind me. It was very critical. So there you go.
It looks good. It adds to the ambience, and you kind of feel like you're home. I'll get you a really big Heniokus that you can put back there next
A
time.
sticker. Yeah, put a sticker put a sticker
We'll
there.
get you a
Uh,
Heniokus fathead, and you can put it in the coach.
yeah, Adam Moore says, yeah, better send Dak Prescott a thank you card. It's not Dak's fault. It really isn't Dak's fault. Dak's a good guy, but it was a great game. I thought for sure that the 49ers were going to blow it. I know that's why you guys didn't come here to the stream to talk football. I am not a football person. I'm only a football person for about 4 weeks out of the year. These 4 weeks, up until that point, the only thing I do in football is watch the HBO show, and that's pretty much it to get me hyped for when it gets to the end, and then I get a little excited again. So that's pretty much it. So anyway, that's it. I'm traveling. Rosano asks, is this vacation or business? I don't know. It all kind of mixes together always for me. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I'm having some work done on my RV out here in Vegas. And so we've been just traveling from home out to here and doing a couple of things here and there. So that's pretty much it for now.
The
But
migrant life.
if anybody wants to come down to the Revere Country Club, in the next couple of hours, wants to have a drink, you're more than welcome to. If you're on the stream and you're in Vegas or Henderson, come on down.
There are definitely some Las Vegas Reef Club. Whenever I've gone out there to talk, it's always a strong showing. So someone should be watching from there and come down and visit.
Well, there you go. There you go. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. But in the meantime, we've got to do what we do every Sunday and go over the week's news. So you ready to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to roll on with the breaking news story, the big news story of the week, which, in my opinion, would be that as you predicted, BRS has launched a tank line with Reef Savvy. They have a tank out and they have a stand out. You can get the tank
Yes.
without the stand. So that is live, which I was reading the description and they were very clearly pointing out that it's 180 gallons,
Did
including
you
the
put that on here?
overflows.
Where's the link? I don't know where the link is.
It's on there. It's
Is it? What part? Up in
I
the top
changed.
news?
No.
Oh, what was that?
Was it
I don't know what that is. It's not supposed to be that. That's pretty funny. Okay. I don't know how that
It
came
felt
on,
left
but
out. It's in California time.
but I was just reloading the page and I couldn't find it. So where is it? Featured
Here, I'm
mixing
going to send it.
container.
It's there. I'll text it
Uh,
to you. That way you got it.
well, which column's it in?
Oh, I don't know. We
I
should
saw
not
the
bore the
article.
viewers with finding it. We'll just send you the link and you can pull it up.
Okay,
It's
well, how about
there.
this? I'll just go. It was on Reef to Rainforest, right?
Yep. I just checked. Yep. There it is. We got it.
Okay. So it's on Reef to Rainforest, and we're going to talk about that one too, by the way. Talk about that maybe too. Where was that article? I don't
It's
see the article now. Well, there it is down
on
there.
Reef.
There it
There
is.
you go.
Got it. Whew, man, must have been the game. Anyway, so BRS is coming out with a like a high end rich guy, combination. I mean, we can just say it, right, Mark?
Yeah. I mean, paying 7,500 for a 180 gallon tank, just the tank. Some people are going to like it, which is great. Like if that's your thing, you want to buy the brand, you're a fanboy. Look, more power to you. It's a free country, and you can grab the stand for only $500 less.
Yeah, yeah. So the combo will cost you a cool 14 grand for a stand and the glass. I think it is the same one that they gave away. Brymac was saying, and I mean we're talking about top quality here, so it's not like you're buying a Gucci keychain, okay? And it's just pretty much a keychain with a Gucci logo on it. It really is a quality aquarium and a quality stand. The stands are made sticks and stones. Benner stands makes them, and he does incredible woodwork. And of course, Felix with Reef Savvy did an incredible aquarium on here. 180 gallons with a ghost overflow, multi-layered phantom bottom glass, 30 three-quarter inch glass on a 180, which is just crazy, right? It's got your favorite low iron glass in it, Mark. Um,
I mean, I'm just noticing you can have any color stand that color that you want as long as it's brown.
Oh, is it? So that's like a Henry Ford kind of thing?
I mean, there's no options for that.
I don't know. I think I still might have it in orange. Runs deep. What can I say? Runs super
Yeah.
deep. But I mean, what do you think you're into in this? If you wanted this as a hobbyist before you even, start to put fish and coral in and things ready to go, how much you think you'd be into it?
I mean, you got lights, pumps, so that's for
I mean, you're not
I'm
putting
gonna say,
J-bow in this thing, right?
I mean, it's like having a Lambo and putting used tires on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're
So
gonna
I think
drop another 10 to be safe. I mean, if they really do it right to
probably,
get lights on their pumps, do a good job
yeah,
with plumbing. I mean, put an apex. Yeah, so you gotta add another 10, I would
10
say.
grand.
That's
So
fair.
it's a $25,000, 180-gallon aquarium. So if it's a 10-year tank, like Ryan says about 10-year tanks, then we're talking about $2,500 a year. It's a $200 a month payment for 10 years. Go for it.
I, I
Go
mean,
for it. You.
it I have a 10-year tank right behind me. I'm not leaving for at least 10 years. I'm not doing
Well, the
it.
last one you only had up 2 years or whatever, and you tore it down. Or what was that
No, it
about?
was up for 5 years. I have the
Oh,
proof. I
okay.
ran across the photo.
It's hard
And
to believe.
besides, I
My
mean,
tank, my tank's been up. I think water went in it in 2015. 7 years.
yeah, it's time. It's time, man. It's just time. I mean, you
It's
keep coming back to this. It's going
nuts.
to show up every single stream. It's just time. It's time to get a bigger one.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but it is. It does keep coming up, and you keep making it come up in my mind, and I still haven't done my floor yet, and I'm like, I don't know. I'll
I'm
put
an
this out to
enabler.
all the viewers. If anybody out there would want to buy it and pick it up and for a fair price, okay, then I might consider it. The whole thought of having to then put it somewhere and try to sell it and everything. If it was sold already, and somebody come and grab it, and I could put the stuff all in tubs, I might consider it. I might consider it because all the other plumbing and stuff is all done and everything. So that's the really hard stuff. So
Tell
might
you what you do,
consider it.
Terrence. Put a package together. Send me some photos. I'll put it on my Facebook fan page, and we'll get this thing handled in like a week or less.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, there needs to be a website like Bring a Trailer.
It's okay,
Have you heard?
buddy. We're
Have you
not
heard?
here to talk about your tank. We're sitting here talking about this 180. People are we
We're ignoring them
I
out there,
mean,
and we're like,
it's
yeah, no doubt.
but yeah, so that will happen. We're going to see this.
Aaron says, I'm sure it's awesome. I've never bought
uh,
anything for
we're
14K
we're
that didn't
building
come with a
proof that this
steering
will
wheel.
happen this year.
Yeah, it's
What kind of car did you buy for 14K?
I don't know. That's a lot of car for me when I was under 20 years old. And of course, Ken comes in and says I can sell it. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
See,
Ken
you got a
thinks
team now. You got two people pulling for you.
I don't know. Nancy's in the background. You want to sell our tank and get a bigger one? She's the boss.
Yes. Look, Nancy, this is the time you can do the flooring. Just like if someone bought
Oh,
this BRS
she's
tank.
now she's over here talking about a. She's talking about a bigger tank, and then she wants a smaller nano tank in the kitchen that she says she's going to take care of. But you know how that goes.
Okay,
So
that's a whole nother conversation.
yeah, yeah.
so
Sam says don't cave into the peer pressure, Terrence. Okay, I like Sam. All right,
so
perfect. So
so my
anyway,
my my thought
I
with
want.
this, Terrence, is it says it's in stock. We know how long it takes Reef Savvy to build things. How many do you think they have in stock? And then if they sell out, what do you think the wait is to get more?
I bet they have no more than 5 in stock. That's my guess. Okay, that's what I put a wager on. Is they have no more than 5. The number's probably between 3 to 5 that are in stock, and my guess is they were sold the moment they went on the site. That would be my guess.
It's You think they're sold already because it's still showing it's in stock.
That doesn't mean anything. They could be taking like a semi pre-order or something like that, on it to get the list. I don't know, but it's not
Hmm.
that hard to find a few people that want to be the one. And so you guys out there, let us know on the tip line too if you know somebody who picked one of these up and setting them up, because I want to see the build thread and everything, and we'll push it out on Reefing Report as well for
Certainly.
sure. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So okay, that's the tank. What's up next, Mark?
So where we're talking about tank, this new thing, it was an article on Reef Builders, and I've seen this for a while. Ike over at Current USA showed me it last year, and he says it's all the rage in freshwater, but Jake over at Reef Builders covered a different similar type project, but now he's thinking it will come over to saltwater, which is a lighted background to your tank. A lot of us put the black vinyl on the back, or when I started saltwater tanks, you had the picture of like the underwater reef that you taped to the back of the tank with Scotch tape.
Right.
But what about frosted glass with a lighted background? I'm not
Yeah.
feeling this, I have to
So here's
say.
the so here's the deal, right? Nobody except for the most like anal retentive people clean their back glass. Period. Okay? I would say it's 5%. I mean, there might be 15% that do it after a month. Like the first month, maybe you had 35% of the people doing it. But after 6 months to a year, maybe 5% of the people are cleaning that black glass. And so if it's not clean, it's pointless, right? So this freshwater is a different world. Freshwater, they change their stuff out every 6 months, every year. They're changing out all their aquascape. They're resetting it because it's super easy, right? And that's one of the things that and it grows out and it gets ugly, and they just go, yeah, let's rip it out. It's way different than reef keeping in that respect. That said, if I had probably a really cool background that was with an OLED that had the background of a reef that looked, hyper realistic and set up,
Hmm.
kind of like, yeah, like it's meant to be there. I think that would lure me to do it, especially if it was on. I mean, on a small tank, it wouldn't matter like this one, but on a tank as big as mine, right, where I've got that whole background, and on top of that, I had paying somebody to clean the back glass, then I'd do
All
it.
every day.
you
Well,
know?
they would have to be spotless
Yeah,
to get the effect of the
to get the
lighting,
effect.
because
Yeah.
you get any kind of biofilm on there, let alone coral and algae, forget it. It's over. So yeah, it would have to be spotless all the time, which means I would guess that you can't put an algae scraper on this thing, magnetically couple it and scrape it. You probably got to scrape it with the little Kent scraper thing like this, or
Oh,
Julian's little
it's
thing.
got to be a nightmare. It's got a nightmare. Be a nightmare. It says Sam says I have coral landscape taped to the back of my tank, but haven't been able to really see it in a couple of years. So it's
How
kind
does he know it's still there?
of exactly. It's probably got like black widow spiders crawling up inside it and stuff. It's got like a whole nother ecosystem growing behind his tank that he doesn't even know. Uh,
So David's saying, what about a frosted back? So an alternative to this would be just frosting the glass back of your tank, and however long your back glass is clean, it's clean. That's what you get. I imagine you could still scrape it down with an algae scraper with that. You think that would fly in the reefing world? I
I
think it'd
I
be
mean,
cool as long as it's clean.
yeah, I mean the point is do you want to have black behind your coral and algae, or do you want to have blue behind your coral and algae, or do you want to have red behind your coral? Because that's really what we're going to be talking about, right? I mean, if you put it back there and you don't think that I mean, nobody's going to clean it religiously, so there's going to be stuff on it. So it's just a matter of what color you want the background to be. And if you want to do that and you want to change it from time to time and that's your gig, this would be the way to do it. I just can't see anybody doing
Yeah,
it.
I
I
mean, I'm
just,
tempted to like put an LED TV on the back other side of my tank, like just a little, and just to try it,
and
like
turn on
make it
Seinfeld
all red,
for
and
your
yeah,
fish.
I
Like
just
turn,
like to
turn
see what it's
Seinfeld on and like have like the lobster episode of Seinfeld going,
it would be yeah, I mean it. Yeah, I think you're right. It just doesn't work in a saltwater tank where we want biofilm, we want to grow stuff, you want to grow coral and algae.
Right.
It
Yeah, if you're paying attention to
maybe
that, it's because you can't grow coral and don't have great fish. That's that would be my point, right? It's like if you don't grow great coral and looking at what's going on in the foreground, and you need the background to spice it up, you're not aquascaping correctly, and you probably don't have interesting things in your tank, and you should probably work on that instead of
it
buying another
sounds like a
gadget.
freshwater tank.
Yeah, more or less. Yes. Yeah, if you're tired of seeing green things grow, because that's basically it. Now they'll come out,
And
the
fish.
freshwater guy will tell me, oh, there's some red plants too, don't you know? And some of them flower too. But yeah.
All right. So I'm never going to be able to do MrFreshwaterTank.com because everyone will be like, here's every single time you dogged on a freshwater tank. That's
Pretty
all right.
much. I mean, they
That's
are
okay.
some cool ones, and I could see, some things. I mean, look, black background's perfect for Scott Fellman's dirty water tanks, so they don't need this.
Tannin water is the term. Tannin water, Terrence.
Hmm.
So That being said, so let's talk about reefs because we're here to talk about reefs. Reef
Yes.
Builders put up this mixer that I actually thought was cool. It's a mixer that has features on it. The big thing that I noticed, it has a little magnetic stir in it,
Okay.
so to keep your solution mixed out. Which for most people, your solution doesn't come your it doesn't come out of solution. But things like Julian's two little fishies, if it gets cool or if it sits too long, he recommends you shake the bottle. So I was looking at that, I was like, that's I could see myself using that. Now it's probably made overseas by a company I've never heard of. So I'm curious on how long the longevity of this is, but I like the execution. Like that's another one of those products I'm like, oh, mixing container, like whatever. But it's like, why not
I
put a stirrer in there?
I think for most people, right, and this depends on what you're doing, but for most people, it's going to be a solution looking for a problem. Pun not intended. Um, there's just not that many things that need this. Now, if you're going to be, maybe you're doing foods in a refrigerator, that might be a neat, cool thing to have, right? You stick that in a
Hmm.
refrigerator, you throw in the, the goopy, stuff from, Ocean Nutrition or whoever, and you throw it in there and it stirs every once in a while, kicks it up before it pumps it out. That's maybe it. And there are some things, like you said, if you get a highly concentrated version of two part, when it gets cold, that's what'll happen. But I don't know if that's going to help the problem if it gets super cold. Ultimately, it's still going to fall out of solution to some extent.
I
So
wonder if you could pour in your RODI water and then pour in your dry, soda ash and then hit the stirrer and then let it go. And you don't have to mix per se, manually mix
yeah, I
your
like that
dry.
idea. Yeah, yeah, I like that idea. And sometimes it does at the end of the, when you start to get down, it does a little bit, falls out or what have you. And you probably could set this slow enough and time it correctly with like an apex that you could use it even for kalkwasser, and stir kalkwasser, because it wouldn't stir it really, really fast. You could probably set that thing to stir pretty slow, and then you just time it correctly with the apex. I don't know, something to think about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in general, I think that they are gadgets. A lot of them are gadgets for the sake of gadgets. There are very specific needs that some people have, but most people see spinning colored water at a booth at a show and go, "That's cool. I want to do that." And then they buy one, from like the GHL, I think makes one or something, and then a few Chinese companies make them. And I thought about doing them for the DDR for Neptune for some time, and people have done DIY ones for that too. So you guys, I think there's somebody on here that somebody, yeah, Sam said, seen some DIY versions, very interested in this. I'll dig in that in just a second on the DIY side because it's pretty cool. It's not really a secret because anybody can open up their Trident and see how this is done. Really, so because of that, I'll give you kind of the insight. But I think most people, it's not a thing for them that they need, but it's certainly cool. As far as doing it yourself, basically the best version of this is to use a fan, right? A brushless fan, small DC brushless fan. And what you do is you fashion magnets on the hub of the fan, right? And you can do that with epoxy or what have you. And obviously they're opposite each other, right?
Mm.
And then you buy one of these little pills and you got to set it up with the right distance and whatnot. And it goes north, south, and it basically spins the little pill around. And that's exactly how it's done in the Trident. If you take a look at the Trident, because there are a lot of things that there is no reason to re-engineer them if they've already been engineered and the cost is already at the right price point. And if you can adapt them to do a particular job, in the case of the Trident, it's a cooling effect as well inside the Trident. But moreover, it it turns that little pill in the Trident with a little mini fan that anybody can see when they open it up. So if you want to do it yourself, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I like your food idea. I've always been thought about fiddling with dosing frozen food. I mean, I have the Vast Marine plank on this tank, which I love. Works great for freeze dried food. But what about dosing Mises Feast or something like that? Reef Nutrition came out and said you don't have to stir their phyto, so you wouldn't have to use it for that. But that'd be a curious thing to try. I mean, I think you'd have to do it with a dose or something where you dose the food and
You
then rinse
probably
the
could,
tube.
yeah, and you probably have a better chance also of doing some DIY type food mixes too that you might be able to do yourself because they don't generally stay in suspension well. But
Right.
if you had one of
To
these
stir.
stirs, you could do that, and then you program your dose or your own dosing pump or what have you to push it out and pull it back into the the refrigerator so that the stuff in the lines is this basically still refrigerated, and the lines themselves get salt water in them, so that they're not going to get they're not going to get too much algae in them. You can do that, and I think we've done some videos and stuff at Neptune before on how to set up food dosing from a refrigerator. So I think that's a good approach to doing it. I would like to
Yeah.
see stuff like this that is slightly more automated, so that each of these spinners basically had a separate power input, specifically a separate DC power input. Maybe they do. I don't think so in this one though.
Probably
Um,
not.
and if they did that, then at least you could with your Apex or your controller, now you could sequence certain things on and off. So that would be my desire on something like this. And probably if I bought one of these, I'd probably rip it apart and figure out how to hook it up on the DC side into my Apex.
Hmm.
Most likely.
Now I have ideas. We can work this into your new tank build.
Yeah. So Rizano says, "What about dosing silver sides?" Funny you should ask that. I've actually seen that done at public aquaria. So they actually use a pressurized air type methodology where they stuff a bunch of large food into a pipe, close it off, and hit pressurized air and push it out into the big aquarium in the public aquaria. So it is a
Pneumatic
thing.
food dosing.
It's
Ah,
exactly it. Yep. Yep, for
that's
sure.
awesome. We need a video of Richard Ross doing that. I mean, if Ross is going to continue to be the man, he needs to step up and do something like that.
Yeah, yeah. You want about people who need to get a bigger, newer aquarium? That's Richard Ross, man. Come on, for sure.
Yeah, but he lives in, Oakland. He doesn't have any space. You got plenty of space, and you want to redo your floors anyway.
Yeah, yeah. All right. One of them that wasn't on our notes list. Let's switch gears into our LED burned lenses. Okay, and there's a guy out there. His name's Tim Solar, and he's out on the AI group in Facebook all the time. And if any of you guys have an AI light, I can't remember which one, the 32 I think does it. Maybe the other one does it as well, the one before that. There's a couple of lenses that tend to get more burnt than others. And there's all sorts of theories on this, and I'm not going to pretty much lay down which thing I think, because I really don't have an opinion on it. It has been a thing. A lot of people getting lenses replaced on their aqua illumination pucks because they go dark. Have you seen this happen, Mark? Have you seen pictures and seen this happen, Mark?
No, this is actually the first time I've seen this.
Really? Okay. Well, anyway, it's a thing, and a lot of
Mhm.
people are speculating that it's the UV that was causing it, but there's really not a whole lot of UV even, being pushed out by their UV lenses. And this article, you guys will find it out on reefingreport.com, goes through the testing that Tim did to try to identify what could be causing this to happen. And it's interesting because it's not the temperature, according to him. It's not the UV that's ruining the lens, again, according to him. He is basically positing that the saltwater spray or a drop or what have you comes up and hits the plastic, okay, or the acrylic that these are made of, and then basically changes the polymer in such a way that it doesn't have all of its heat resistive other qualities that it would normally have, because it's been affected by both the salt and the minerals that are in the salt along with the heat to change the makeup of it. And it's really an interesting thing that he's gone through on this, to try to investigate. And he says something like he's got 128 of these that he's looked at and everything, and trying to come up with what it is. And some people argue and say, no, I don't think it's that. But it's also interesting to me that the company themselves hasn't really come out and said, hey, this is what the problem is. We've corrected it. They're just replacing people's pucks and going from there. So I, for what it's worth, it's just really an interesting thing with this particular light.
Yeah, I'm just scanning his article. This is well written and some good info on it with thoughts. And this is, I mean, I'm not necessarily like a tech geek guy, but this is cool to see and to see someone dig into it with the
Yeah,
photos and
yeah. See, Rob Pinkman says crazy. I run 4 Hydra 32s over my tank. This is news to me. Yeah, I mean, if you guys run them, you should take a look at that. It's not the LEDs that go out. It's actually the lenses that basically get black, right? And then the
right.
LEDs don't shine through them correctly. So this is definitely a thing that's out there, and he seems to have come up with kind of a hypothesis as to why it's happening, and he does a whole
Yeah.
bunch of things with the AI stuff. So encourage you guys, if you're into the AI lights, go on and join the AI group on Facebook. There's tons of good information out there.
Yeah. He says this is, it has to do with plastic optics. So it happens,
Right.
looks like across brands. But as you said, he uses a lot of AI stuff. So that's just what he has access to.
Yeah, Yagi1 says he has an Orphic and it happens to him. And Telegram says, yeah, Tim knows AI. Yeah, Tim's actually reconstructed new pucks from scratch to change the spectrum of the of the AI primes. So if you want to have a better spectrum than the AI primes come out with, then he's done some stuff with that. He's done a whole bunch of different things, and so if you're into the AI stuff, it's definitely worth checking out everything that he does in that regard.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool to see someone
And
digging into
Nelson
that.
says he's got 2 lens burned when I had the UV above 90%. Yeah, and I think what it is it's a combination of temperature and this plastic because like he says in the article, the plastic itself can hold up to the temperatures that the LEDs are giving them, but once they get kind of degraded with the salt water and some of the chemistry changes that happen with the plastic and the polymer, then they don't take to heat quite as well, and they likely when you do go to 90% or whatever on your UVs, that's when it does happen, something like that. So there you go. And
That's
yes,
cool.
Jonathan Gordon says the old AI Soul Blues seem to last a very long time, very long indeed. In fact, Brandon from zoanthids.com still runs them over his frag tanks at all the trade shows. So that's how good they run for him. He loves the blue on those, 100%.
Wow.
Okay.
So, Terrence, I got it. This one has jumped out at me as a heads up for people because part of reefing, as you know, is reusing gear, buying used gear from someone, especially when you're new. Like I bought plenty of used gear when I was starting reefing because I didn't have the budget. And part of it's like I didn't know what to get. And one thing that's come up with the alcatronic units is that if the person who's selling it to you doesn't unhook that alcatronic from their account, then it seems virtually impossible to have that thing get unlocked except by the original owner whose account that it's associated with. So you're locked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is bogus. Any company that does this. So, first of all, again, this is where the show takes the opinion turn, right? Because I'm going to give you a nice, strong, juicy one here, which is I think every product that you buy, especially when it's from newer companies, right, on the scene, if you buy a product that has a cloud component to it, that product also needs to have a local component to it so that when this is a little bit off of what you were talking about, but I'm going to get there. If they go away, right, your product still works. Likewise, if you have that local component there, that local component should have a reset function that anybody can basically go in there and reset it to factory options. Sometimes it's done through a button like it is on an Apex, right? You can reset it, to full factory, on there. Um, but it's definitely, I think, a problem if you buy something and it doesn't work and you have to count on the other guy, writing them a letter.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
Why does that make sense?
I yeah, I ran into the cloud-based, piece of gear and is separated from my hot tub. The company that was running it said we're going to shut this thing down, and it was just dead. They gave me my money back for the subscription, but a local component would let it keep going. And in this case, you have to wait on the company to unlock it. But according to the Reef to Reef thread and every link to, they're very unwilling to do it, even if you showed them proof of purchase. Said, "Hey, now it's mine." They're like, "We're not touching it." which I'm like, give me this. If you bought the product, even your second hand, like, give me the support
It's like, what do I have to
and
go on
unlock this and
FaceTime
use it.
and like hold it in front of them, okay, and go, okay, here it is. Here's a newspaper. It's January 16th. I'm here. The thing's here. Here's the serial number. I mean, really, why? Why is that necessary? I mean, this is not the 128-bit key to my crypto account. Okay, it's a freaking Alcatronic for God's sake. You know. I just don't get the idea of doing that. The other thing to watch too, that I think I mentioned to you, and we don't have an article on it, but since we're talking about Alcatronics and the Tronics company, I've been keeping a really good eye also on a lot of new Mastertronics coming into the world, and I'm seeing quite a bit of feedback online on that. So I'm going to see whether or not anybody's going to be writing anything up, or we'll have a forum post to put out there. But it looks like there's a lot of stuff going on with that Mastertronics. That's one to watch. You and I will keep an eye on it. And you guys out there, if you see some good threads on the Mastertronics stuff, let us know for sure. I know Derek has it over at Reef Automation, and he's putting it through its paces right now. And I know he's a guy that's going to be pretty straight up and honest. So we should get some good feedback from him soon on that. But Alcatronic, you guys out there, Jonas or Eric or whatever, just get rid of this. Make it so people can easily reset the thing and have a secondary market for your products.
I would gotta think that's a software thing. You can push that out with a patch or something. You can press a series of buttons and get it to go.
You would think, right? I don't know because I don't know enough about it, but sometimes when you master reset, there might be a master reset on it, but they've got they have these what do you call it, flash chips in there too that maybe that would cause a problem. I don't know. I don't know
Hmm.
why they would hold on to it. Doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Yeah. Hopefully that gets fixed in a patch.
I can't believe we're reefing on Reefing Report tonight. Here, I'm mobile and I'm still got bandwidth coming through that is good enough to run this live stream. That's pretty wild. That bodes well for the future because I think there'll be more like this for sure.
It's clearly we're no longer 28.8 with the modem,
Yeah.
AOL.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good
uh,
hardware, good software. I mean, these guys with Ecamm that I run, they've got some stellar software, man. They've just done such a great job. So it's definitely pretty cool.
something else that made news this week that you and Terrence, you and I talked about, but a lot of people won't necessarily know because they don't are familiar a lot of times with the names behind the brands. The
Hmm.
Andy Schmidt, who son of the founder and president of San Francisco Bay, has passed away. Someone I talked to this week said that now both of the original owners of San Francisco, are gone, which
Yeah.
leads the company. I don't know where that leads the company, but
And who
I
just
mean,
died recently? The other guy that worked there. What's his name? Oh gosh, why can't I pull his name? Anyway, that also worked there. He's actually in this photograph right here. He died recently as well.
yep.
It's crazy, crazy. But yeah, I mean, this is a company that's been around forever, and there's not even 6 degrees of separation. There's probably 2 degrees of separation from so many companies and everything that are connected in some way, shape, or form to this particular company and even the California Academy of Sciences basically were the ones who kind of kicked this thing off and started feeding these brine shrimp. I mean, to think that we just take it for granted, like, oh, everybody fed brine shrimp since the beginning of time, to aquarium fish. It's just a thing, but not so.
No, and now, I mean, now a lot of reefers don't feed brine because we know there's not a lot of nutrition in adult brine, but that's just what everyone seems to assume you start with. And San
Yeah,
Francisco Bay brand, I remember buying that in the 80s. It's like
yeah,
the brand.
yeah, and then they've got all the other foods and stuff that they started packaging up as well, along with that. And yeah, another great gone too young. I think we're going to start seeing, sadly, a lot more of these kinds of things because, especially in the saltwater hobby is fairly young, right? And so we do have a lot of people that we take for granted now that are kind of pushing up there in years that sadly, it's going to become more common than it ever has been for us, and that's kind of sad. But life goes on.
I did turn 40 in a couple years ago. I mean, I'm 43 this year, Terrence. So
Yeah,
I'm pushing it.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say how old I am. You guys will have to guess.
Not old enough to keep the same tank.
Yeah,
You're never
well,
too old to upgrade a tank. There you go, Terrence.
okay.
All
You're
right. So
just trying to
speaking,
work it in all the time, aren't you?
I'm at
You're just trying to
just
just keep working it in.
speaking of tanks and lights. We talked about LEDs when things, the lenses burn out. There's a post on Reef to Reef that I found this week that was cool because it had a side by side picture comparison of the same coral under different types of lights. One was LEDs, the other one was LEDs, but it also had some T5 supplementation. Really cool kind of comparison about how, in his
Where is
mind, it
this on
was
the
the
site?
lighting
Where's
spectrum.
this on the site? I don't remember seeing this.
Oh,
I missed this one too. Man,
it was
I don't think you posted that, buddy.
I. It was there.
There's the LED strip light, okay, and a
No,
commercial LED fixture we didn't talk about before. I
it's
think you missed
there.
this one. I
Here,
think you. Oh,
I
you're gonna send me?
reorganized it for you. I just
You're
put it on
gonna
the top. There you go.
you put it on the top of the
Now,
site? Okay.
you can click on it.
Oh,
Everyone
there
can
you
see it
go.
because it's a cool photo comparison. This looks like it says it's a Pinky the Bear, which let's see, some of the coral geeks on are going to look at this and say maybe that's an FLO. Kind of looks like a growth pattern of an FLO, but it's
No, it's got too many
very
spikes on it.
too many what?
Too many spikes. Like you know, it's not flat enough in the F-low will grow out on the edges with the spikes, but not so much at the top.
So this thing is one is teal with purple tips. The other one is somewhat teal, mostly purple with some
Okay.
purple tips. So this was one's under just Radeon G5 Blues. The other one is lit by G4 Pros, Blue Plus T5s, and Reef Bright XHOs. So big difference between the two, which, I mean, that's an interesting thought of putting. I'm never a fan of putting LEDs next to LEDs, but maybe there's something to it about using an LED that brings something else to the spectrum. It's hard to, we never know
Okay.
for sure. A lot of briefing is kind of hearsay, but this is a cool, somewhat case study that has some cool picture to show the difference.
So I think what isn't shown here, and where I'm gonna, the first question that comes up, it's the same system, right? Which it's in the same system.
Separate tanks, same water.
Right. So the first thing, that I'm going to talk about is not just the lights, but how much intensity were the lights. And so this is where I get on my soapbox with DLI over PAR also, because both of these things I think can affect light or the coloration of the corals a lot more than we really understand. First and foremost, the PAR, right, the peak PAR that the coral is going to adapt to in your tank is it's going to basically get like sunscreen, right? It's the coloration becomes part of its sunscreen, and that I think is going to change dramatically depending on what the peak par is. And then likewise, if you're only looking at that peak par and saying, well, both of these had the same peak par, it doesn't necessarily mean anything to me either, because they had to have pretty much the same, in my opinion, the same DLI. If you're just comparing spectrum, right, which is what he's trying to do, he's trying to, I think, say, well, these lights were set up with this, these particular LEDs, these were set up with these, and this is the difference between them is really going to matter also how much total light during the day each of those corals was getting. And I don't think people
Hmm.
completely get that, right? When they're looking at things and they say, "Oh, what was the par?" right? Or the par was the same. You know, it's not just that. So it's definitely interesting, but I think until people really start doing some controlled looks and studies, maybe similar to the stuff that BRS does in some of their tanks, where you're controlling, and you just have one variable. Then we really can probably see what we might be able to tweak. And there's a lot of people who do it anecdotally. Jason Foxes of the world or whatever, figure out that this particular color and this particular tank and flow and parameters and this much potassium, I'm going to get this, uh, home record to look better than anybody else's.
Or keep it alive even.
Yeah, or even keep it alive. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's it
definitely cool, for sure.
for sure. For
How long is
Sure.
that thread?
All right.
Oh, by the way,
Uh,
this is on Reef to Reef, but we did give on Tim's thread, we did give a shout out to the Humblefish forum out there because Tim's stuff was posted out there on Humblefish, and as you know, some people prefer Humblefish forum over Reef to Reef, and vice versa for a myriad of reasons. So
how many people are still on Reef Central?
it
Still
exists.
active
It still
on?
exists.
Does it
I
still
don't know. Let's see.
exist? I mean, then the next question is how many of those people, or even if you're not active on Reef Central anymore, how many people were banned? Because that's like a badge of honor back in the day in reefing. If you got banned from Reef Central.
Oh, look at that! This isn't even live right now because it's wicked
Oh.
busy, which means not a good sign. It means their hosting basically got dumped. Uh, they they probably they probably took down most of their servers or didn't pay for most of their servers or something. And there you go. What a waste because that could have been sold just for all the link juice that it generated.
Yeah. Well,
But what a
anyway,
shame.
nice side. We were talking about forums. I was like, oh, yeah, Reef Central. Oh, I remember that. I got banned. You
Yeah,
got your hands clapped and then you got banned.
I think I got banned too, but that's no surprise.
That's
I'm sure.
that's not surprising at all. Next thing is going to happen, you're going to get thrown out of the country club.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I do have to
All
move
right.
the RV though in a little bit though, so
Oh. Ha.
it's not very level right now.
Hmm. Okay.
Oh,
I like your new
Mohai says
tank.
it
We got to
works
make
for
sure your
him.
new tank's level.
Okay,
Well,
what
the
else?
website works. The forum does not work. That's the clarity there.
Exactly, exactly. So the forums where the problem is on Reef Central, but who
Right.
cares? Who cares?
All right. So,
So
Terrence, that was the big stuff from the week that we saw. I'm curious if any of our viewers, since we're a little quick tonight, which is fine by me, anyone see anything big this week that you didn't tip us off for? Certainly tip us off on the reefandreport.com. Up in the top, there's a tip us off icon. Anything big in the news, in the saltwater reefing news, that you all would like our opinion on, or perhaps we even missed? Because we certainly can't see it all. We like
yeah,
to see the pertinent stuff.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we get some questions in from you guys. This is probably a good time because we haven't been bloviating quite as long as we usually do.
Did you say glowiating?
Bloviating,
Bloviating.
yes, bloviating.
Bloviating. I'm looking this up. That's a new one. Bloviating.
Really? I
Yes, I've
guess
never heard someone use that word.
maybe I need to
Bloviating.
say y'all been bloviating.
Y'all been talking a long time and stuff. We're missing the football game. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
There
Oh, and
you
by the
go.
way, we do have advertising up. Okay. Oh, you know what? This is good. Mohai has a good one here. All
Yep.
right.
Yeah,
Let,
the
I
price of
meant
frag.
to actually talk about that one. Okay. Now how can I get that into my browser? That's interesting. Let's see how I can do that. Oh, I'll just go to it. It's on Reef Builders, right?
Yes, from 2 weeks ago. So you may have to scroll down a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see.
There's going to be two parts of this story. One is the price, but we'll see if you can pick up on the other part of this, which is really interesting because I've been on the hunt for similar type corals. But we'll let you bring it up first so everyone knows what you're talking about.
Okay, there it is. Okay, so there's a lot of talk, and I've talked about this before about the cost of reef keeping before, like back in the day, okay, and the cost now. So now this is 9 years ago, okay, and you can probably find a site for me while I'm talking, Mark, to see what the inflation, what the dollar would be today, right? So you can take any of these numbers for me and stick them into an inflation calculator that's out there on the web and tell me what they should be today, or
Okay.
back then, I should say back then, right? If they're this much today.
Yep. Tell
Uh,
me. I got it up.
so these are the old ones. So this is now, if you put that number in, $40 for that 30K Locani, what should it cost today? It'll probably be, in my opinion, it's probably going to say something like $58 or something, right?
47.87, an increase of $7.87.
Okay, so we've had some good, but still, it's
Good.
50 bucks,
That's
right?
let's
And
we
so
have to throw away this past year. Yes.
my first impression when I saw this was Yeah, that looks like it is today. If I go and buy a piece of blue tort over at Neptune Aquatics in California, I can get a piece, for $40, and it's probably going to be about that size, maybe slightly smaller. Okay, slightly. Okay, uh, green slimer, $40. I can get it now that size probably for $30 at same thing at Neptune Aquatics. Okay, anybody wants to come to my house and pay $40 for green slimer, 2-inch, 3-inch frags all day long, I'll sell them to you all day long. Okay. So I look at this as totally bogus. I think all of these price comparison things are bogus, because not only the pricing thing, but also, I mean, look at back in the day. Look at that tiny piece of Setosa for $20. Okay, I'll give you $20 pieces of Setosa like that all day long. But
Hmm.
it's also that everything's been, everything's changes a little bit in what you can do. So now what we have the capability of doing versus what we could do back then, and now the amount of kind of Gucci-ness to corals that everybody isn't going to be happy unless they have some goofy name has taken it to this other level. But if you compared apples to apples, all of these corals today, I bet you I can get for that price. I bet you I can.
The other, some of these I bet you can't get because people aren't as interested in them. I mean, who's bought Superman Monty? Who's really interested in Superman Monty? Not that it's a bad coral, but it's like
Right.
even Hawkins, like a lot of people, they're like, Hawkins, what? Like they don't even
Yeah.
know that coral. It's like it's been too long. The legacy guys are gone. Like Pink Lemonade. I was looking for Pink Lemonade, and a lot of the big names I asked are like, what? What coral
What
is
is that?
that? And I'm like,
You did, that would be great though. Is you bring it back around, right? And you're like, oh, check out this cool new coral, and then you give it like a $280 price, and you go bring it to the same guy, and he's like, wow, I never saw that before. Yeah,
I mean, I see plenty of legacy corals that have been renamed snazzy names. And I understand the
yeah.
marketing. There's nothing wrong with it. I get it, but I'm part of this. The price, I think you're right. Absolutely, you can get these corals for the same price, if not cheaper. When's the last time you saw a Miami orchid up for sale?
I don't even know what
Other
it is
than
myself. I don't even know what it is.
ORA, I think that was the
Yeah,
ORA coral. Like the, I mean, green slimer. Everyone should know that one. That's a great starter SPS if you're looking for one.
yeah,
I think it's funny. Like Superman Monty used to be the thing. I haven't heard anyone talk about it in a long time.
yep, yep. And I said the same thing about gear as well. I mean, of course, we're talking about a $14,000 tank, but at the same time, maybe not in 2013, but go back 10 years before that, 2003, where could you go and for $1,000 have a fully set up aquarium, 40, 50-gallon tank that could grow successfully just about anything you want, right? In that 40-gallon tank. It just didn't exist. It didn't. And you want to go out and look at things like salt or additives or test kits or all of these things, go back all the way to 1996 and go look at the prices and put that into your calculator when a test kit from Salifert was $14, okay, or $13 back in 1996. Put that in your calculator. It's now what, $19 for the same test kit?
Yep.
So I just look at it and I go, this is the progression of things. You talk about, I don't play golf, but since I'm in a golf thing here, right? You had to go buy a big driver a long time ago, right? And like you probably paid $250 for some wooden driver of whatever, back in the day. And now you go buy one that hits the ball 40% farther with, one third the skill for the same price. And so you can't really compare them exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, I'm surprised.
Yeah, Jeremy's just made a
I,
good point here. He said metal halide bulbs are 150 each. Yeah, exactly.
yep. I remember
Exactly.
that. Your 20K radiums.
Yeah. So this whole thing, and what's his name there out in Pennsylvania always rides this theme all the time, about how expensive it is to keep a reef these days. And if you want to keep the same reef tank you did back then, I can guarantee you can keep it for way cheaper, especially adjusted for inflation, than you did back then. Again, the same one, not the new coolest stuff that's out there, but you want to have that same 60-gallon plastic rim top on the tank with a, hang on back and everything else that you had back then. Yeah, I mean, just look at the skimmer cost. I mean, even back then, skimmers cost you $250, back then. Adjust
Yep.
that for
They're-
inflation. 20, 30 years
Yeah.
ago. So anyway,
Yeah.
these are always interesting articles to me. And when you do it with corals, I think that this article fell flat, in my opinion, super flat, because it was trying to prove that corals now are way more money, and you get, much smaller frags. But I mean, take a look at that Setosa frag. I mean, that's pathetic, even for $20,
20 bucks. I mean, I can
right?
cut you.
Yeah,
Yeah. And like even this 30K Locani, another coral that no one talks about. A lot of viewers in the
right.
stream probably don't even know what that is. Look, the little frag behind it's like
Yeah,
you probably cut that
exactly.
frag from the frag in front.
Yeah, so
I
I
mean,
don't know.
the California blue tort, like that's a good value, but that stuff grows like weeds.
Yeah, three-digit price, tag, and most expensive pieces top out at $40 for generous frags. Well, yeah, it's three-digit prices for whatever is the coolest in style, whatever. Would you like some Xenia? Okay, you probably bought a colony of Xenia. It was probably a nice big colony back then in 1998, and yeah, it might have cost you $30, but today I'll give you that same one for free, or find somebody who'll give you one for free. So it's all relative.
I have some in a holding tank that you can't kill that. Yeah, you can come have it.
Yeah, no kidding. And Yagi says, yeah, you just wait for the inflation, next. And we're definitely, even in the reef keeping space, going to see, more and more of that. No doubt in my mind, for sure, that that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
So I think we hit just
Yeah.
about everything.
Yeah.
Was there one other
I
on
mean,
there? I think, yeah, you hit that one. You hit that one. You hit that one. I think we hit about everything from the past week. But as always, you guys, send us stuff. I think I mentioned also we did put some advertising on the site just to try to get people kind of used to it and see what exactly it does pull down and get some of the stats and whatnot. And hope that's not too onerous. What else? I think that's it. Mark?
yeah, I think we nailed it. And again, if you guys see something, tip us off, let us know. Let it, we know, not only, don't wait for the chat. You can put it on the website, reefingreport.com up at the top, tip us off. We'd love to see what you're thinking about. And, we'll be back next Sunday when the Titans are done with their rest period. They get to play, and we'll see what happens
Who do they
then.
play?
I don't think it's been decided yet. We're
No.
thinking it's going to
Okay.
be the Bills, but it hasn't been decided yet. We got to
Well, the
let the other
Bills.
teams
The
play.
Bills won though. The Bills won. So
Yeah.
yeah, the Bills won yesterday. So and I think that the Chiefs, that's going to be an easy mow over, and we'll see where it goes
Jimmy
from there.
Colson's going to be really upset at you for saying that, Terrence.
I know I already got him online with that, but I told him was like, is the old man going to hang up his cleats after this one? Because I mean, he's like one of the oldest quarterbacks I think in the league, Roethlisberger, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway, thanks all you guys for coming on to the stream. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you guys bookmark the Reefing Report, share it with others, create the homepage link on your mobile device so that you can go back to it. As frequently as possible. We'll be making more and more posts on the social media of some of the hottest stuff that's coming out, and I got to get those notifications going on the site as well. So that's about it for tonight. I'm going to go get some RV repair done here in the Las Vegas area, and then I don't know, head back home or what have you. I'm supposed to get another vaccine boost too, so I've been told. I've been given the order.
yeah.
So,
Oh, okay. Well, you got to be healthy to break down a tank, Terrence.
oh yeah, okay, there you go. You gotta keep it going on. I don't know. Maybe it will happen. I don't know.
Oh, hang on. Rob Pinkham said that he donated on Patreon, so
Oh, he
that
did. Okay,
is
I'll have to go
awesome.
check.
Thank you for that.
Sweet,
Awesome. Thank
sweetness.
you, Rob. We appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate it. And when we get the viewership up on YouTube, we'll be able to take all of those cool little donation things during the chats and do all that stuff. So please go get the word out so we can get a lot more subs and have some more fun. And what I really like too, before I sign off, Mark, I'll say one more thing, is that we're doing this kind of organically. We're not trying to create a bunch of like giveaways to like bribe people to come into, the stream, which is kind of the common way of doing it. That said, I do believe there will be giveaways down the road of various things. I think that will be in there, but it is fun to do it organically and not have to, hey, if you get everybody on, for this free thing. So There is
Absolutely.
that.
Damn-lutely. All right.
There we go. All
Go
right,
fix
guys.
the RV
Take care.
turns.
Till next week. We'll see you then. See you later.